I'm Tyranee.
And I'm Creedkeeper.
And we're at Ikkicon, waiting for our panel to start.
Oh my gosh, pictures!
I'm Tyranee, or Peter. I direct what's called the Let's Dub Project, which is a series it's a video series which is kind of like a combination of like a Let's Play and a fan dub, where the whole game is dubbed, but my narration gets you through the gameplay portions. I've dubbed about over 100 episodes since January, about a half-hour long a piece. It's what I do every day. Work with a ton of people. So.
And I'm currently the director for Katawa Seiyu, which is a fan dub project that's going over the entire game for the visual novel Katawa Seiyu.
Yeah.
Basically, visual novels are what we do.
Pretty
and
much.
gameplay.
Visual novels and
So
gameplay.
lots of voice acting and the games that go with them.
It's voice acting.
Huh? Not yet. We're getting one for Act 2 and onwards, actually. Because there is a point where the voice in his head starts to become a character. So that is going to exist.
Okay.
So, first thing that a lot of people ask about getting started for voice acting is where do you do it? And the fact is, there's actually a very large online amateur community. So there's a lot of websites you can go to, such as the Voice Acting Alliance or the Voice Acting Club, the VAA or the VAC. And that's where a lot of people post projects, where they'll have a lot of audition threads for different projects, whether they're fan dubs, radio plays, original visual novels, or any sort of thing that they're coming to, including a lot of abridged series. If they're looking for actors, they'll usually post it there. There's even a few paid projects that appear on there. But generally, when you're starting out, you want to just audition for as many things as you can.
I currently have a thread up on there for a Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies dub that I'm planning on starting in January, so casting for that's going to television for the next 2 weeks, I believe. So.
He's currently finished with the dub for Apollo Justice, and moving on to Danganronpa, Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations.
999 and Dual Destinies, of course, next year.
Yes. 3 of those are currently in progress, and Dual Destinies has yet to start, but is still casting, if anyone's interested.
Of course, we have cards for the end, but anyways. How do you start?
Yes. Well, a lot of other places where you can get advice about stuff like this is, if you've ever heard of Crispin Freeman's podcast, it has a lot of great advice for people starting out, including how to get your recording set up, your environment, your microphone, all of that. As for the tech aspect themselves, your mic is pretty much one of the most important things that you'll have. So if you are thinking about doing voice acting, it really helps if you can start out with a semi-decent mic. You don't have to sink a lot of money into it at first, but if you can get at least just if you can sink like $40 into something that'll be a long-time hobby, that's worth it.
Yeah, $40 is a good price. For the record, the scale for mics from worst to least, headphone mics are the worst, then laptop mics, and then if you have like an iPhone that's kind of in the middle, it's not very professional, but it'll work for some projects. And then you have your mics for when you're getting serious, like the Blue Snowball, the Blue Yeti, those kind of things, Samsung mic, and then you have your really professional microphones. I haven't looked into this personally, maybe you guys would.
I use a Blue Snowball personally, and it works just great for me.
Yeah, I have a Yeti and it works really nice, so.
So you'll get a mic. What's your question?
On a scale where does the rock band mic
Rock band? That's like with a headset mic.
That's why I started out using when I did audio recording for my videos.
I started out with a headset mic. It was actually a pretty good one. It was better than my laptop mic. But honestly, as soon as I upgraded, it helped me out so much for getting into different projects.
Currently, I use the same mic that I use for my camera. I plan to buy a proper mic.
If you can get a proper mic, that would really be your best bet.
Yeah, it's good. I can tell you, casting is very picky. If you don't have a really good mic, then you're not going to get into a lot of projects. That's pretty much the gist of it.
It has to be at a certain level too.
Yes.
And something that can help you improve your mic quality is your environment. Like when you're first setting up to record, you want to keep it as quiet as you possibly can around you. That means shut off all music, close all windows, your door. If you can get a really soft environment around you too, like if you put a pillow behind your mic, or if you've got anything foam that can absorb some of the echo. It'll help with the reverberation.
Even as far as I've heard, even putting a nylon sock over your microphone can help with the echo.
That helps with your as kind of a pop filter too. Because also when you're going really close to your mic, sometimes when you're saying plosive words like P's and B's and M's, you'll let out a little puff of air, and that can interrupt some of your recording. So you'll want to be about a good 6 inches away from your mic, and at that point, just try to get like it soft behind your mic, so it'll absorb that a bit, and that'll make even lesser quality mic sound a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should go into the Audacity aspect, noise removal, because that's very important. No matter where you're recording or what your mic is, unless you're in an extremely professional soundproof recording studio, you're always going to have some layer of static in your mic. Which brings me to, you want to be listening to your recordings on headphones versus speakers, because you're going to pick up a lot of that kind of thing. You get more of the true sound when you listen to your headphones and your speakers. So, do you want to?
When you're recording itself, it's best. The stuff that I use is just Audacity. It's a free program. It's wonderful. You can record a lot through it. I'll actually just bring that up here.
Yeah. We're gonna do a little tutorial of how to noise remove a file here. It's actually very easy.
Ta-da! Audacity. It's wonderful. It's free. It's what I do all my recordings through, and you can get a lot of different channels through it.
Yeah, and this is also what I use to correct a lot of the recordings that people send to me.
Just you record it like that. If you can get a bit, and then you get a couple seconds of whatever you don't want to show up.
Right. It's good to put about 2 seconds of silence at the beginning, so you have those seconds where you can go in and remove the noise.
Going to get noise profile, and then for the whole thing, effect, noise removal.
Then you just click OK, and that's it.
And that gets rid of it.
It does, but you want to be highlighted specifically on an area of silence, though, so you don't get any of your vocals in the noise removal. Because if you do too much noise removal like that, it's going to sound like you're underwater. So, and you don't want
to do it too much, but if you can get a couple seconds of silence that you noise remove, that'll vastly improve what it sounds like to anyone who's listening to your auditions.
Gentleman over there, yes.
Now, I use this a lot when I record Let's Plays, and sometimes if you record a lot of the silence and you take out, I don't know, just a lot of it, it'll leave this, I don't know, electronic feedback.
Yeah, that's actually over noise removing. I never do for more than 20 on mine, but you can record noise remove up to about, 50? Yeah.
You can adjust these settings.
You can adjust all these settings. You can noise remove up to 48. I leave mine on 20, and that's usually pretty good for what I want. For the other fancy stuff for editing, you probably don't need to get too much into it if you're first starting out. But fact is, if you're doing online voice acting for stuff, you'll want to pick up a bunch of little stuff. You'll want to know how to edit your own lines and just cut down pieces of it. Like if you make thumbs and creaks while you're recording just because you keep hitting your desk, you'll want to cut all of that out. And when you're sending in an audition, you'd probably never want to send in just your first take of something. You'll record a couple takes of the same line and see which one sounds best to you, and only send in your best for it.
Yes, I would recommend as a director, if you do, I don't know how many takes you're going to do, so you might do 20 takes of something, but I would recommend only leaving in 3 or 4, because the biggest thing usually is directors are probably going to pick your first take or your last take. That's usually how things turn out. So if you send in 20 takes, then the director's probably not going to listen to all of them.
And particularly for auditions, follow directions. The director will typically post, this is when the deadline is, this is what format I want it in, whether if they want it to be MP3 or WAV. If you get Audacity, it normally does it in WAV, but you have to download a special little thing that takes pretty much 2 minutes in order to get it to export as MP3. And once you do that, just follow directions. They'll tell you what lines they want, they'll tell you how many, whether they want it to be all in one file or whether they want a separate file for each line. And just read it carefully as you go down. Sometimes they only want their emails in a certain format because that's how they tell what their private emails are as opposed to audition emails.
Personally, I take my files, since I send out most of my my stuff via raw video files that have lines in them and everything for people to look at. I usually have people send me in one MP3 per line with a time signature in the title. So it's very specific that way. And if you're wondering what the difference between an MP3 and a wave is, an MP3 is a smaller file, but a slightly lesser quality. But a wave is a slightly better quality, but a larger file size. Most of the time people will go for MP3 because there's not as big of a difference to really make a big deal out of it.
Particularly if you're listening to a lot of auditions, you might want to just have a smaller file size. Also, for auditions, you'll typically see a listing with a good 6 or 8 characters for a series. A lot of people only audition for the main character. And fact is, that character is going to be the most popular one that everyone just goes for immediately. Don't do that. Just please don't only audition for the main character. Fact is that there's tons of other characters, and the side characters are a lot harder to fill. And they're still looking for a particular voice for it. So, if you want your director, if you even want a higher possibility of getting a main character, show the dedication that you're willing to record for a couple different ones. And try out as many different character types as you can.
And also, of course, be aware that if you kind of try out for multiple characters, you may be casted as multiple characters. So make sure that you have the time to do that. I mean, the director will come to you and say, do you want these characters? If they're a good director, granted. And you can, take or refuse the role, but even so, just make sure you have time for everything you're recording. That's the biggest thing, because deadlines are so important in the voice acting world. You need to seem reliable in order for people to cast you. That's the thing.
And even as a director, what you need to keep in mind is that you need to set deadlines in the first place. If you tell a bunch of people, hey, record this whenever you get the time, nobody's ever going to set the lines. That's just not going to happen.
No, and if you give them a deadline, most people will hand you their recordings on the deadline. Like, you'll get some people that are good and will send you their stuff before, but the majority of people on the deadline. So you also have to keep deadlines fairly reasonable as well. If you send a deadline a month away, you'll get your lines a month away. So you got to keep that in mind. And if you set your deadline a week away, you'll get most of your lines in a week. And if you don't, that's when you go to people and say, hey, why haven't you sent me lines? So don't bug them about it every day, but just let them know, hey, I needed this yesterday. Please send it to me.
It helps to remind people, in particular, because there's typically 2 different main types of projects. Satellite is the most common, and that's when the director will go and send out scripts to everyone, and they'll say, okay, these are your lines, record it, send it back to me. And then there's live direction. That's actually what I do for my project. And so, as the director, I meet with all of my actors through Skype and we coordinate, where we'll be on call and they'll be recording on their end. And we'll go through the entire script until we get each line the way that I want them to be.
Yeah. Yes.
When you do that, you set it up with them doing rehearsal back and forth.
You can
until you get it exactly the way you want it.
Yeah. You can have them do. You can have them do as many takes as it takes for them to get the line right, really. And you have to obviously communicate with them and let them know, hey, I need you to do this way, pretty much.
If you tell somebody to redo a line, then just tell them what to change about it, typically. Because if you just say, okay, I want you to redo lines 4 through 6, that's not very helpful for the actors. And there's a lot of different ways that they can do that.
There is, yeah.
Communication is huge.
In my personal projects, I do satellite only because I do 4 different series and it takes too much of my time to do live direction. I mean, you have to sit with somebody for like an hour or 2 while they record their lines. That's a lot of times.
And it definitely helps though because you get out several episodes a week that way.
Oh yeah, you do. And usually I let people know that they need to redo a line after I listen to all that they've sent me. So.
Communication is really key between actors and directors. But it's also key between the other people that you're working with. If you're going to be working on a project with somebody for a couple months as a hobby, well, get to know them a little bit. And you might start working on other projects with them too. Networking really is everything. Because if you work with a couple people several times in a row, then you'll want to bring them into other projects with you. And they'll want to bring you into other projects. And so it'll kind of share around a bit.
Yeah, naturally some voice actors do directing work, so if somebody's a good voice actor and you enjoy having them in the projects, why not? If you have time, volunteer yourself or volunteer other people that you know.
Definitely.
I mean, it really is just a big tree of, I know this good person who knows this good person who knows all these other good people. And then you form yourself a network thing.
Yeah. It's definitely good to have open auditions for people. Like, I got my start on the VA going for a lot of different projects. When I started out, I probably have a folder on here with a good 500 auditions. Just because I kind of have to audition. But it's good to start out because it also helps you gauge your voice. Because as you're going along, when you first start out, you might think that your voice is one way, and so you're like, yeah, this is the type of character I want to do. You're probably wrong. You want to go for a lot of different types and just figure out what your voice is very good for. Because directors will give you feedback after your auditions and say, okay, well, maybe you should try this slightly differently. Or, I think you would be a better fit for this kind of character.
So when you're doing your auditions, put them forth with confidence, believing that you'll get the character, but take any feedback that the director will give you, because any experience is good experience.
Definitely. And you can get a lot of basic experience just through audition.
Exactly.
And, yeah, a lot of it is attitude. You really have to believe in yourself even from the very beginning, as cheesy as it sounds. Because a lot of the voice actors I know are very unconfident people. But fact is, they have really great skills for it. And a lot of the people that I respect the most in voice acting, they're not too hot on their own stuff even. So it's kind of annoying to talk to somebody and have them not believe that their own stuff is as good as you think it is.
Yeah, I have a person who literally plays the character in all of my dubs because she gets her lines in on time and they're all top quality, and she doesn't think she's that good. And I'm like, can you believe this? You know?
And particularly for auditioning, you want to have some confidence in yourself, and you want to portray that to the director too. That, hey, this is my thing, and this is what it is. Not, hey, I don't really like this, but I kind of wanted to turn it in, and okay, I'm gonna leave now. Don't do that. Just stand up for yourself from the very beginning. What's your question?
Do you find that more annoying than the people that are too confident?
There's definitely some
Like, you're like,
confidence.
I'm the best voice actor ever. That'd be something, but like very much point something like, no, it's not about but I'm the best voice actor ever.
Personally, I find the more cocky people more irritating because they cause drama in the groups that you're in usually.
Drama is definitely something that you want to avoid where you can. And cockiness is a lot of part of that, definitely. So definitely when you're starting out, if you don't have a lot of experience and you haven't been doing this for a long time, don't say that you're the best at anything.
You know,
People will tell you if you're good. You don't need to tell other people. You just need to say, this is what I am and this is what I do.
if you could have all the talent in the world, but if you can't work with your fellow group members, then the director's not really going to want to work with you.
Yeah, you've recast people based on that.
Yes, I've recasted somebody because they had a lot of talent and they fit the character perfectly, but they did not get along with anybody. They were a troll, basically.
And unfortunately, that is sometimes not worth it, no matter how good you are.
Exactly. Speaking of recasting, if somebody is not working for you, you shouldn't be afraid as a director to recast somebody. Be nice about it and let them know why. Be truthful and honest. But really, what I've learned is that if you recast somebody on a role that's not working, there's always somebody better out there that you can get. Consistency in your projects with voice acting is important, but in that case, if you have to do it, you have to do it.
If you're running your own projects, definitely take your time with casting. Try not to just cast the first person that you see that would fit the role, sort of. Definitely take your time, because there will be people who will be better. Or there might be people who will kind of rephrase in your mind what you think the character should be like at all.
Everybody's headcanon is different.
Yes. Definitely.
Yes.
Totally a late person to this, but I think it's really fascinating. How do projects get funded? For example, like I have a son in college, so and his college students have no money. So and mom and dad can't pay for everything either. So we're getting started in this either as the voice actor or even as someone later on directing, or as you said, handling or managing a project. What, if I may ask, where does the money come from? How do you get funded?
Well, in the amateur world, personally, it comes out of our own wallets.
Honestly, to begin with, you want to get experience before you try to do anything paid. There are websites like Voice123 where you pay a subscription and then you'll get a bunch of paid projects that you can audition for, and they'll give a couple $100s to each actor for these roles. But you need a lot of experience before you start doing that. And so to begin with, you'll want to get a decent microphone, and then your time. Your time is your money. And if you've got a big project that you want to run as a director, you could try something like kickstarting it on Kickstarter and try to get some funding for that. But honestly, it is best to go and get some experience before you start anything.
Yes.
A bit of an odd question, I'm actually kind of late to this, but do you have any recommended setups for, say, noise canceling on like a budget? Not noise canceling, but like echo reduction or whatnot?
Yes. If you don't want to buy like a special phone box for a recording studio, It's actually very nice. You just need to get the behind your mic very soft, so it can absorb some of that sound.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I know actually record in their closets because there's a lot of
That's
clothes.
what I do.
It
With
works.
a green screen
It
behind
does.
it.
Yeah.
Dubs animates its own green screen stuff in the same sequence.
And then something that I do if I don't want to be recording in the closet is I'll actually just have a pillow behind my snowball, and then I'll typically have like a blanket over it that'll have the top of the mic and the sides, and then that works just fine for me for reducing a lot of reverberation.
Yeah, I record on just, my desk, and I probably can be a snowball, like you said, but, yeah, what I do is essentially just throw a blanket over myself and that, thick blanket. That can also help.
Thick
That's a
blanket
good
and
idea.
a pillow behind your mic.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And that works for definitely reducing a lot
Yeah.
of it. It
Because
helps
you
your
don't
mic
want that
sound a lot better.
echo,
Yeah.
because that'll really...
You can always put in echo later if you need it for a scene.
Yeah.
Like if you're
As an
trapped in
effect.
a box
It's-
somewhere.
It's a very easy effect to do in Sony Vegas.
Yeah.
It's like
In
effect
Audacity,
reverb
too.
or something. And reverb is very versatile. It seems to work for a lot of stuff.
Reverb's always fun for robot
Yeah.
voices.
That too,
Definitely.
yes. Robots, flashbacks, that kind of thing. Yes.
What sort of legalities are involved when you're casting someone for that information?
Oh, copyright.
Don't do anything 18 up if you've got, or ask the age of your actors if you're doing anything 18 and up. Because honestly, just don't deal with that. Just don't.
Completely understood. You
Yeah.
want children. Legally, what do you have?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Fact is, these are usually fan projects. They're hobbies. You're not paying anyone, and you're not involved in any contracts with anyone. So some of the people that I work with are 12 years old for some projects, and this is what they want to do for fun.
Yeah,
and fact
and-
is, it is for fun. It's something that you really do because you enjoy it, you love it, and you want to keep doing it.
And that's
And if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. If recording lines is a major pain for you, and you're painstakingly going out of your way, just don't do it. Don't be a voice actor.
it's the same thing for directing. If you don't have time for your series, then nobody else is going to have time for your series.
You really have to bring the passion behind it before you start.
And that's another thing to keep in mind too, is that when you're working with amateur voice acting, these people are volunteers, so you have to deal with them accordingly around their schedules. If you're paying them, then they have a, how do you say, they basically have to do what they have to do because you're paying them. But amateurs, you have to go by who you trust, basically.
What sort of microphone would you suggest for someone who wants to start out?
I would suggest getting the best mic that you can at the best sound you can. And that's all I can say. You'll want a studio condenser mic probably. And I use a Snowball personally. I got mine for $60. I've seen them on sale for $35.
Yeah. I use a Blue Yeti,
Yeah,
but
they're
that's
40
more
right now.
that's more upwards of like 120. So you've got to be kind of at least a bit serious if you want to get that one.
I would suggest just looking around what other people say that they sound like. But typically studio condenser mic.
You have a question? You go ahead.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yes. So, as an amateur starting out, how long do you think you should practice for before you start auditioning, and what material would you suggest to practice with?
Honestly, I started with auditions as my practice. You can do a lot of things, like there's a lot of resources online for, say, monologues that you could get used to, but getting feedback from other people really is the first step for me. Because you know pretty quickly if it works or if it doesn't work, and trying for a variety of different characters gets you emotions for different scenes, different voice types, but most importantly, the acting really is more important than the voice type in most cases.
Right, so audition for as much as you can and get as much feedback as you can.
And don't forget the visual novels.
Yes.
Fan dubs are great and they're popular, and don't think yourself above fan dubs either, because that's something that other people go for. But visual novels in particular are definitely something we're plugging.
For sure.
I was just meaning to ask, since it's a discount panel, what kind of, are you part of any sort of, particular group? What kind of stuff do you do?
Well, personally, I'm directing Katawa Seiyu, which is a entire fan dub of the game Katawa Shoujo, which is a visual novel.
Oh, yeah, Katawa Seiyu.
Yes.
It's a visual novel where you date disabled girls. It's
Yeah,
very well
triple
written.
dating sim.
It's a great story.
All the different girls and all the different.
It's all about different timelines. It's like those choose your own adventure games where you go down different paths.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm
And you're
expecting a
probably
double boyfriend.
yes.
I want my birthday.
Oh, you'll see.
Give it to me.
You might be surprised.
Yes.
And of course, I direct 4 series, which are I call them less dubs. I guide you through the gameplay elements with my narration, and the rest of it is dubbed by voice actors. So like I do, I recently finished Apollo Justice, and I'm currently doing 999 Danganronpa and
Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations.
Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations, and coming in January, I'm starting Phoenix Wright Dual Destiny. So.
Oh, okay.
And that Apollo Justice is a complete dub with the entire series.
Yes.
Entire series are something that you typically don't want to take on if you've never directed a project. Just a lot of the projects that are listed on, say, the VAA or the VAC, they probably won't finish. Because if somebody says that they're going to dub a series with 112 episodes and they've never done any sort of video editing before,
It's
that's not going to happen. So typically, it seems that if you're going to direct something for the first time, go for a shorter scene. Go for a shorter scene, cast it, and learn a bit about mixing and how to get things going.
Yeah, there's a few things you have to look for when you're looking at audition threads on, say, VAA to determine whether something is worth being involved in. One of which is spelling and grammar. If the person can't spell and their stuff doesn't make any sense, then it's iffy whether you want to work with them. How much description they put into the kind of voices they want for their characters. How specific are they with what they want, or are they just like, oh, well, just do whatever you want?
If you're directing a project, you want to be as specific as possible for what you want. You want to set a deadline, tell them these are the characters, these are what they're like, these are the lines I want you to do. And maybe post a picture of the characters too, so they can see. But you'll definitely want to have a lot of information on there to show people that you're serious about it and willing to put forth the time and effort, so that they'll be willing to put forth the time and effort too.
And even if you see these threads, you can even just Google whoever posted the thread to see if they've done anything else, and just to see the quality of the work that they've done. That also helps.
It's like a small demo. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, a small demo.
And demo reels are actually a great thing for voice actors.
Demo reels are super important.
Definitely. If you're making a demo reel for yourself, make it between if it's a professional demo reel, don't make it over a minute long. But if it's for casual amateur stuff, feel free to have it be like a minute and a half. You want to go through a couple different voices, and with those voices though, you want to make it completely different scenes, different character types, different situations. It might be a deep space pirate, and then a higher comedic with somebody.
Yeah, and
Just
more importantly,
completely distinct, to show off your vocal range.
more importantly, in these demo reels, people do want to hear your normal voice.
Yes.
And you definitely do not want to put impressions in your demo reels. You want to come up with your own original take on things rather than imitating what somebody else has done. That's like having an art portfolio and putting somebody else's painting in there that you copied.
Are there any
I don't know if y'all remember this, but so the voice actors have to match the scene, or is it the director's job for them to match the scene with their voice of what they choose?
You mean like with lip flaps for fan dubbing?
What?
You mean like with lip flaps for fan dubbing?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're doing a fan dub, it'll actually depend. Because, say for most of Rich series and such, it's usually the director and the mixer's job in order to do that. But some directors who are first starting their series or such just don't want to deal with that at all. And so it's the actor's responsibility to go through and try to make it as match as best they can. For instance, when I'm doing that for a Hitman Reborn dub, I'll go and I'll say the line in Japanese actually, just to get the timing of it right. And then when I can see that in Audacity, I can see how long I need to make the same line in my words. And something that the directors can do to help that is when they're writing up the script in the first place for a fan dub, they can go through and make sure that the lines actually match the Japanese or whatever it is for the lip flaps remotely, rather than making it a huge line for a single exclamation on screen.
If you're auditioning for an abridged series, normally they'll go that direction, where you send in the line and then they match it themselves. But if you're doing like professional anime, usually, sometimes they'll have the anime up on screen and you'll have to match what's up there.
Are there any more questions, or are we free to move on to our next portion? All right.
All right, perfect. All right,
Then
let's
this
do
is the part where we'll need all of your help as volunteers.
Yes, indeed. All right, going to go into the audience and start picking people. So,
Okay.
all right.
Okay, we need a choice of one of these scripts.
Okay, everybody raise your hand if you want to pick one real quick, and I'll pick one of you to pick a folder. So, and we're
Don't
gonna
pick the
go,
ones with the dashes yet.
not the ones with the dash. So we're gonna go over here to you with the hat and bag. Which
Which
folder?
folder?
Blanket.
The playing game. All
Playing
right.
game. Oh boy. All right. This is a fun one.
Yes.
scene
one,
here.
we'll need 3 volunteers.
We need
We'll
3
need-
girls and 1 guy.
2 girls.
2 girls. Okay.
She's doing this because.
Okay, so we're gonna do. Alright, you be the guy.
And if our volunteers can come up here, please.
You and
Shaking a seat. If you can get the script out. Okay, you'll be narrating. So anytime that it doesn't have a person's name on the screen, or actually, I'm not sure if I divided that properly for a narrator. I think it's at the very bottom. Okay, actually, you'll be first volunteer for our next one, alright? Okay, cool. Okay.
Sorry, I picked it.
Okay.
That's alright.
We need one of our girls to be completely ladylike, calm, and composed.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Yes.
Is this a game, right?
Yes.
So,
This is
can I
the game
control it?
Katawa Seiyu. It is completely free. This is actually the one that I'm fan dubbing for my project.
Okay, okay, I'm
Yep.
sharing this.
Don't tap it. Just speak as you would and project a little bit. If it's that these mics may or may not actually be on, so feel free to speak up.
They're on, but very low.
Flamboyancy is the spice of life.
It definitely is. Acting makes life more interesting.
Hello.
Okay, so you'll need to project a little bit.
Alrighty.
Projecting is
Project.
Project.
All right. And when you're ready, Misha.
Okay. Class rep, it's a good thing you're here. We have to talk.
Just click spacebar.
Oh.
Yes. And
dots.
The festival's coming up in 3 days, right? Every other class has already handed in their projects and budgets report for their events. Even the first years, except you.
There's still time to hand it in, isn't there?
Today! The deadline is today! You're certainly taking your time, aren't you? If I had it my way, I'd have it all of the necessary paperwork a day ago. But someone had to say, the deadline, please extend it.
Yes, that was me. Planning something on this scale is not a small task. And a week is too small a time frame to expect a whole class to work out such a complex issue.
You want to know what's harder than distributing the funds for one's class event? Handing the same matter for every class in the school and then some. The one who doesn't that is that the one who does that is me.
Oh, for those of you that don't know, Shizune doesn't have the
Shizune
ability
is
to
the class
talk.
president.
That's her
and she is
disabled.
mute. So Misha is her translator as well as her being her bubbly self.
Am I narrating it?
Yes.
Yes.
Misha puts her hands on her hips and stands up straight. Wow, she really is getting into the role. Lily doesn't look like she's very amused, though. Hey, Shizune, aren't you being a little too hard on her? There's still a whole day left.
Please, thanks, yeah. It's alright.
Lily seems happy I'm taking her side, but a bit conflicted that I might not think I can take care of herself. She might not take care of herself.
If this is about the budget, then I'm disappointed you think I have forgotten about it. I understand how important it is.
Then, can I have it, please?
Shizune, she might not have it on her at this exact second.
Thanks. It's not here right now. I asked 2 students to take care of it for me. Students from my class.
She emphasizes the last sentence, much to my surprise. She knows about Shizune and Misha's efforts to rope me into the student council? I guess word must have gotten around, so now she's using me as ammo against Shizune. This just keeps getting better and better.
It was your responsibility. A budget report isn't something that you should just be delegating away. As class rep, it's your job to be on top of things. This kind of disregard for proper procedure is really just terrible.
They completed it, being capable of doing so. But students have been really sick. I've been sick recently, so they cannot come to school and give it back to me. If you want, I will apologize on their behalf for doing so.
Okay.
Although Misha misses Lily's little jab entirely, Shizune doesn't. And she seems torn between being offended by Lily's daring and jumping for joy at the prospect of a challenge.
Lily, don't they appear at school? It's a 5-minute walk, you know. What could they possibly have that prevents us from taking 5 minutes out of their busy lives? To drop off something that will affect the enjoyment of the entire class?
her mouth to say something, but Shizune closes the gap between them and starts signing furiously, waving her hands around like an orchestra conductor. Misha tries her best to convey the same passion, but can't seem to lose her normal, cheerful tone. The result is interesting and somewhat surreal.
And what's with that attitude? I said that's not something you should be delegating away. Are you the class representative or aren't you? Tell me the names of those 2 students. They should have with your job if you can't even handle something as simple yourself.
One form isn't the full extent of what I'm supposed to take care of.
Lily's tone is growing slightly impatient, but she is doing a good job of not letting Shizune see how unsettled she is becoming. She's playing her cards close to her chest. Shizune, on the other hand, wraps her fingers cheerfully along the edge of her glasses, knowing Lily can neither hear nor see how excited she is.
Of course, you do so much, class rep. It must be so difficult being you.
Lily tightens her lips at Misha's words, clearly understanding the intent behind them, even though Misha delivers them without even a hint of the sarcasm which they were meant to have. Shizune and Lily don't like each other, that much is clear, but this seems a little much. It seems like Lily has had enough and is ready to push back.
I was actually... I was actually just discussing the budget report before you came by. You must be very talented to finish all your student council duties so quickly that you can track me down to make sure I don't forget my own.
Are you accusing me of slacking off? It seems like you're confusing me with yourself.
I don't think so. That would be a very difficult thing for me to do, comparing myself to you.
You're right. The difference between us is like heaven and hell.
And it's not hard to guess which one you might represent.
The air between them wrinkles with the heat of their enmity. Well, not really. They can't disguise it anymore, though. Even Misha looks like she's beginning to understand the real nature of this conversation.
Heath-chan, don't you slack off either.
What are you talking about?
Aren't you taking part in the festival, Heath-chan? You are, aren't you? Then, I hope you're going to do a lot more to make sure it goes smoothly than this person.
I don't understand why Shizune is suddenly getting mad at me.
I think it's don't drag me into this. Which
Oh,
part did
don't
I?
drag me into this.
Yes. Don't drag me into this. I've done my part.
Don't drag me
Why
into
don't
this.
we let the audience choose which one?
We have the script for this. It's more
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh.
The first answer just pretty much ends the scene.
Aw, okay.
Don't drag me into this. I've done my part.
Answer?
Click it. You'll need to move the mouse.
Oh.
Uh-oh, that's to move the mouse. God, what do we do?
Why am I being dragged into this again? I've done more than enough, I think. If you're angry with Lily, that has nothing to do with me.
Now, wait just a second. Are you implying the president is more in the right in scolding me than yourself?
Oh, damn, I think I could have worded that better. No, I don't know about that, but, I mean...
What are you saying, Heath-chan?
It's just that I hardly think it's fair you can say that, seeing as I've helped you guys. The mood has changed. This is like a showdown between 2 gunfighters now. Well, it was like that before too, but this time, Shizune's focus is on me. And so is Lily's, though she keeps quiet. I'm afraid I inadvertently pissed her off.
Are you saying I'm wrong?
What a dangerous situation. It's too early to argue with you. Yes, I think it's unfair of you to get on my case.
Heath-chan, you want too much, but you have a point. Okay. You're not lazy, Heath-chan.
That's fine.
Just we have scripts for that.
Shizune pushes her glasses up with her thumb, almost approvingly. Dot, dot, dot.
That's good. If you're not useless, you shouldn't let anyone say you are. But next time I say it, it'll really be because you're disappointing like Miss Class Rep here. So don't let this go to your head.
Lily takes the jab silently, a venomous visage frozen on her face.
Class Rep! Don't forget that report, please.
Okay. And then is that what we're ready to see?
Oh, almost.
All right.
I'll
Go until the end of the script. And that's it.
You're right.
I won't. Would that be all?
Yep.
Then, good day to you all.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Tyranee, and Ikkicon was freaking awesome. I'm looking forward to running a lot more panels in the future. I gotta thank Creedkeeper, because without her, I probably wouldn't be running a panel at all. So, props to her. She's awesome. You guys are awesome for watching this. Thank you. Good night.